This is cab 311, one of the rooms where the labs for CMPUT 229 take place. I want to take a minute to talk with you a little bit about what a lab in 329 is. The first thing is to talk about what it is not. It's not like a chemistry lab where you come to the lab and you execute an experiment that has been designed for you, and then by the end of the lab you write a report, you go home and you're done. A lab in 229 is more like a major programming assignment that you're going to see in classes like 201 or 174, 175. So the idea is that you're actually doing a programming assignment in RISC-V assembly in each one of the labs in 229, and as we progress into the course and the assignments get more complex, it's likely that they're going to take much more time than the time allocated for the lab itself. In some of the later assignments, you may take several days where you're going to be planning your solution or debugging or trying to write it. So be prepared that a lab in 229 is a major programming assignment. It's very important that you read entirely the instruction for a lab. They are all posted into the website already under the labs page, and it's important that you read the instructions before you show up for your first day in the lab with the TAs. The teaching assistants are in the lab as a resource for you. Consider the lab to be a consulting time with the TAs where they can answer questions or help you with some issues that you have, or point you to places where you can look for information that you need. I want to talk to you a little bit about the labs in the first week, because what happens is that we need to start the labs when we start, that is on the Monday of the second week of classes. But some of the concepts that will appear in that first lab will not have been covered in class yet. That is an issue that happens every term, and we ask for your patience and for your resourcefulness. So use all the resources that you have. Ask your TA, look up in the web, read the textbook, so that you can learn some of the concepts that have not yet been discussed in class. They will be discussed, the topics that are covered, but especially for the students that have their labs early in the week, you may be looking at concepts that in the lab or having questions in the lab where you don't quite know what they are talking about yet. So you have a couple of things that you can do. One, you can search for those concepts and learn those concepts on your own, or you can postpone the completion of the lab until later in the week, when there will be a few more classes and you're going to be exposed to a few more concepts in class. But the textbook is an excellent resource as well that you should be using for that. So I do ask for your patience with that, because the problem is that if we were to wait to start the labs on the third week of classes, then would be pushing the calendar and having much less time for the later labs that are more complex. The first lab is mostly a self-guided tutorial for you to learn how to use the simulator and answer some questions. But of course, you're going to be faced with looking at assembly code for RISC-V that have not yet been introduced in class. So this is just to ask you for your patience and for your resourcefulness, and that resourcefulness on learning things on your own will serve you well throughout the class and of course later on as you become a developer on your own. So I wish you all the best in your first week of labs, and I'm looking forward to see you in class again.